You know, at one point in my spiritual awakening process, I had a huge, expansive, heart-opening period of time where like the entire world was love, and I felt that. I felt the unconditionality. I'd had samples of it before, but this was on a deeper level, like a spring, an endless spring was just arising, you know, from my heart, and I saw clearly that is all there is, essentially. That unconditional love really is all there is. Since then, I've oscillated, and one of the biggest training grounds for that has been a very close, very loving relationship that I've had. But it's a relationship that doesn't allow me to run away. It doesn't allow me to not confront the ways in which I close my heart and these oscillations. And over the past few weeks, due to certain circumstances, I've had to confront this process of being open-hearted and then being closed-hearted. And we can look at this as a real ontological, a real embodied experience of conditional love and unconditional love. I am a hopeless romantic, right? I've written about this, I've written about the myth of romantic love, all the trappings that come with that, all the illusions, all the ways in which we get stuck. Part of this, and I've been doing work on this for so long, and this is still the crux of what I'm working on now. When you are a believer in romance, you can filter all of the love that you have into a relationship, into a romantic relationship, and see that as the main source of love. There are different ways that we segment love. There are different qualifiers that we attach. Under the form of preference, we might say, I love this person and I love that person. I'm indifferent to these people. I don't care about these. Maybe I even hate this group of people. You know, we constantly segment where love goes. It might be that we love certain TV shows and we hate other TV shows. It might be that we love our favorite sports team and we hate other sports team, other rivals. One of the big realizations for me is the illusion of love requiring an object. And that, when you kind of look into the literature and study and you meditate and you cultivate loving kindness unconditionally, free from external factors, you get a sample of that. But what does it really mean? This exploration of mine has really illuminated how I look to my reality, look to my external reality, and I wait until there's an object. You could refer to this as an object of affection. Right? This is a really nice phrase. There's an object of affection. In the moment that I perceive that object, I experience love. And in doing so, what I'm actually doing is I'm placing in my external reality, whether it's a person, you know, maybe whether it's a partner, whether it's a set of circumstances, there are certain conditions where we allow ourselves to love. The trap with this is we become dependent on objects to love. This creates a profound fear of loss. It creates the most profound fear of loss, because ultimately, what is greater than the fear of losing love? Love is all there is, and the fear of losing love is the most profound, you know, on the heart level. If your mind is telling your heart, I'm going to lose love. If this person leaves my life, I will lose love. If my finances suddenly, you know, go down the drain and I have no money, I will lose love. This creates a real constricted and fearful state, because what we're actually saying is that we're afraid of losing what we are. We're afraid of losing our true nature. So it's a form of death, and it feels like death to fear the loss of love. You can see this practically if you look back to childhood. You know, an infant needs love to survive. An infant needs a loving bond with a caregiver provider to stay alive. As soon as we are able to function and look after ourselves, that's no longer the case. And of course, you can still survive without love to an extent. But as a mechanism, we grow into adulthood. And talking personally, I know for a fact, there have been many times in my life where I've really felt like I need love to survive. But I've not cultivated that love from within myself. Or even if I have, my external circumstances have tricked me. And that's exactly what has happened since I had this expansive awakening, and I was like, oh wow, isn't everything great? I was presented with the relationships and the external circumstances that, through their value, through the amount of love that I felt in that context, have deceived me into believing that I have to have those objects in my life to love. And that is a condition. That's one of the conditions that prevents unconditional love. If this object, if this person leaves my life, I will no longer experience the love that I have. So I've been through a practice where I felt a lot of pain. And I became very much aware that the pain, through a fear of loss, of my partner, how this pain was actually caused by a lot of the barriers that I was erecting around my heart, essentially. A lot of the barriers that I was placing as self-protection that were causing me to feel more sadness, that were causing more heartbreak. For example, it might be, this person doesn't love me anymore. It might be, I'm not worthy. It might be, how will I be okay without this person in my life? I've experienced myself so loving and so expansive in their presence. How can I find a different object to experience that again? One of the great illusions is that we mistake who we are and what we cultivate, the source of us, as the source of love, as the subject of love. We confuse that with the objects that we love towards. We don't see this. We believe that the object is providing love. We believe that the beloved is the source, but actually all it is a reflection of the love that is within us. This has been a big breakthrough for me, because I oscillate, that we all oscillate. I get afraid, I get bitter, I get prideful. There are so many ways that my ego attempts to constrict the love that I have, attempts to constrict my heart. It tells me that it's not safe to love freely and fully. It tells me that there are only set conditions in this relationship with these people at this time of day, then you can be loving. And this deep realization and insight has freed me, really, to reconnect to the love that is just innate, the love that resides in the heart without objects, you know, without having to have things a certain way. That is unconditional love. And the trouble is, to access that, you have to go through the pain. You have to prize away the barriers, the heart's protection. It has to go. And that is where the challenge is. Because we are love, you are love, I am love. And to be here on this planet and to be able to love is the greatest gift that there is, by far. And the impact that we can have through that is infinite. It's infinite. But the pain and the fear and the trauma and the memory of when we've loved and felt pain and the resistance towards revisiting those experiences, that keeps the heart closed. Now, as you go through an awakening process, you might notice that these oscillations, you know, for me, it's been a case that I've been able to remain open-hearted for longer periods of time. So now I'm able to go, what's the truth of this? This experience, what is true, what is consistent, and what is getting in the way. And it's not that the truth is there is no love, and then certain circumstances in the external create a loving feeling. The truth is that love is always there, but there are ways that barriers and fear protects that greater part of ourselves. And in these past few weeks, I've realized that my capacity to love is boundless, and that I've really, in the past, focused on the pain and the fear around opening the heart, rather than experiencing the love that engulfs all of it. So I encourage you to inquire. Feel what surfaces when the heart opens. There will be anxiety, there will be fear or sadness. That's the tender sweet spot of the heart, that's the vulnerability. That's what comes with the territory, but it's not the truth of the heart. And these are all just illusions, they're all just things to work through on the path of being open-hearted, on the path of being increasingly unconditionally loving. It takes courage, because it's easier to close the heart in some ways. In another, it's actually not, because you're restricting a lot of what you are. You're restricting energetically the heart's desire to love. It's all the heart wants, to love. Not to choose, not to discern where love goes, but just to love freely and openly. And this sounds like, this is a video I fear sounds a little bit too kind of new age, but I mean this. This has been a real practical, expansive process just to witness what happens the moment. And I encourage you, if you're in a relationship, what happens the moment that you have a thought, what if this person doesn't love me? What if they leave? What is happening is that thought enters your mind, and maybe you get the feeling that encompasses that, the fear, and the heart wants to close. But what happens if you know that no matter what happens, that love is yours, it's who you are, and you can extend it unconditionally, regardless. That's the conditionality. And the courage is required, because sometimes those conditions are loss. Sometimes the condition is pain and going through heartache in order to be open and to be loving. But there's no greater reward than feeling that boundless nature and reminding yourself of who you are. So I encourage you to love freely, and to have the courage to face the pain and the distortion that arises when the heart opens, and to have the strength to refuse to keep the heart closed. It might close frequently, it might take a while for your heart to open fully, but there's nothing better. And it's who we are, and it's who we are here to be. Thank you for watching this video. I'll be back very soon.